afternoon, everybody from Northern Ireland. And I'm Alice. I'm a PhD researcher. I'm just in my first year, or just at the end of my first year. So very, very early days for this project. So I don't unfortunately have lots of nice findings to share with you, but what I am going to share with you is about the positioning of the project and the intent. As I am aware, most of you are from various different fields. I get a lot of sense of psychology being amongst people and that type of field, whereas I'm a designer. So I'm coming to things from quite a different stance that maybe isn't typical to autism research. So helps if I push the right buttons, doesn't it? So just a quick run through of what I'm going to talk about in terms of my presentation today. So as a designer, we always come to things with the approach of solving a problem. So it always starts with the problem rather than thinking, oh, we have this nice shiny tool or this gadget, what can we do with it? So it's more about kind of asking the audience as such. And that links very well in with the direction that autism research is going, rightfully so, towards participatory and collaborative research with autistic people. So although there's very low levels of employment amongst the autism community, I may skip through some slides here, I'm just watching my time. But what I want to show is with this wee video, quickly, is that data can be very easily misconstrued, and the public perception of what things are and what things really are can be quite different. And data can be very powerful in illustrating points and illustrating stories and narratives to people. So here we have the employment figures kind of normalized for the population. So kind of considering what we know about things at the moment, it's apparent that, you know, various fields are essentially working in silos, and there's not a lot of kind of cross communication and interdisciplinary work. It's changing, but traditionally things have been quite confined to a specific discipline. But through art, or through design, we would definitely work towards a more interdisciplinary approach. So the goal is obviously not to cure or to correct or to do any of those things. The goal is to help autistic people. So we have to understand what that is. Design is a lot of things, and it's often misunderstood, I suppose, by other fields as something fluffy, but really it's in everything we do, in everything we see, everything we touch. All things are designed, and VR experiences or immersive experiences for the autistic community haven't necessarily received that treatment yet. So beg your pardon. So the principles of design, again, these fit really, really nicely with the participatory approach to working with groups of people through research. It's about understanding their needs, it's about understanding their struggles, about understanding their delights. It's about working with people through an iterative process to come up with solutions and collaborating with them, rather than thinking that you know all the answers and kind of like forcing that upon someone. You're looking for the answers from them. And traditionally we would see visualizing here as a principle of design, but really I'm going to change it to multisensory realization, because sound is designed, lighting is designed, action is designed. So we're going to just go through the methodology of how this process is an iterative process where we work through various stages of discovery and exploration. And then a bit more detail on that, but we'll not worry about that because I'm aware of time. So wicked problems are another thing that are central to design, and the wicked problem identified is this low employment, but asking why this low employment exists is key to that. And just trying to solve that wicked problem on its own is too difficult. You need to start to look at all the other little things, all the other little barriers that are getting in the way, and try and like chip it down into smaller chunks. So through kind of that type of thinking, that type of kind of root analysis, and some of the other pioneering work from autism and sensory understanding, is that we can't, as individuals, as people, we can't understand, we can't function properly if we don't have a good grasp of our sensory self. So this begins the ideas churning about what can we do about this, how can we support people to overcome those barriers, because building things and changing things in the built environment is a very, very slow process. And in reality, it's a very costly process. We can't just go out and change the world overnight to make it accessible. So we have to navigate the world in a way that we can make decisions based on information about places. So you might go onto Google at the moment and you can put in like Tesco's, and you can see when it's busy and when it's quiet. We can do the same thing in much more depth with sensory information, so that people can choose where and when and how to access those daily living activities that they want to do. But significant to this is that we are asking autistic people what they want, what they need. And so we're not making any preconceptions about it's a VR solution, it's an AR solution. It's going to be driven by them, but it will be a solution that helps them navigate sensory environments in the daily world. So through lots of reading and analysis of various papers, I have all the references for all my slides and everything too, which I will make available. I have kind of synthesized various frameworks for participatory research with the autistic community and population down into these kind of succinct steps. And firstly, like, we just need to respect what autistic people are saying that they want. They are humans, they are not subjects, and that they deserve to be treated so, and they deserve to have their opinions heard, to be able to have informed consent, and all those things. So through starting with that stance, then you can start to understand how to include groups that are typically underserved. These, and for me particularly, adults are interesting, and groups that would not typically maybe be on social media doing a survey. They might have learning difficulties, they might live in supported living. So, but it's making that effort to go out and actually get to those groups rather than waiting for them to come to you, because that means that there's a better reflection of what the autistic population actually looks like, and what they want as a whole, rather than a very narrow look, a very narrow stance. So in a similar vein, we want to be kind of human-centered and through our design methodology. And again, here I'm kind of mapping on, there's these 4 elements of the project that then we can kind of think of in groups of types of activities, types of data, types of research stance that are applicable to those areas, and start to map out what we're doing. So the sensory environment is much more than bright lights or loud noises that we typically hear. This is in our nice shiny new university campus in Belfast. We have a lovely conference room with lovely glass windows, and it's really shiny and nice in Belfast, but you can't see whenever you go in because it is too bright. there's no blinds or there's no way of controlling the sun coming in. So there's a lot more. There's the texture of the carpets, there's touch points, there's so much to think about, because sensory environments are vast and various and many, and change over time, change through the seasons. So there have been attempts to map sensory environments or to map elements of a sensory environment, and visualizing that in some way that can be easily communicated and compared from one time to another. But portraying the senses digitally is not without its difficulties. There are lots of difficulties with calibrating colors and getting things to reflect realities. And then we have multisensory elements, which are fascinating, and particularly smell, which I could probably get into for ages. But these elements allow for a greater sense of embodiment, but a greater reflection of reality. However, they do come with the downside that they are obviously adding more things and more gadgets to cope with in and of themselves. So how immersive is immersive enough? The problem with immersion generally is that, apologies, that the cost and the resource and the skill available to do the really high-tech stuff isn't very easily accessed by a lot of people. Whereas something like a 360 experience or a map or a poster is accessible by everyone. So we have to just ask them what they want, what people want. I have got another video there, but I really watching my time and I realize I'm away. So we always have to consider as well in VR that there are so many more elements of the design that are important. It's not just a flat screen. There are huge things to think about, and gravity and lots of other things. So it's something that in design is lacking. It's very early stages. So adding to that knowledge base would be really interesting. So sorry about the nerves and the rushedness. These are some of the outcomes that I'm seeing as potential outcomes from the project, but very early stages, as I wanted to try my best to get the ethical stance kind of right. So like I said, I am going to make my slides available online at, over the next couple of days or so. So it might make a bit more sense if you wanted to have another look at all. Thank you.